The wedding planning meeting was held in my parents' living room on a Tuesday evening in March. I'd driven straight from work, still wearing my corporate attire, to discuss my sister Lily's upcoming June wedding. What I hadn't expected was to discover I wasn't invited to the actual event I was apparently financing. The venue deposit is $8,000, Mom said, sliding a folder of paperwork across the coffee table toward me. And the catering is running about $35 per person for the full package. I flipped through the contracts, noting the elegant letterhead from Rosewood Manor, one of the most expensive wedding venues in the state. The guest list showed 140 people. So we're looking at around $52,000 total, I said, doing quick math in my head. Plus flowers, photography, the band, Lily added from her spot on the couch next to her fiancé Marcus. But those are the big expenses. This is quite a bit more than we initially discussed, I said carefully. When Lily had first gotten engaged 8 months ago, the family had asked me to help out with wedding costs. At the time, they talked about a simple ceremony for 50 people with a budget around $20,000. We know it's a lot, Dad said, his tone suggesting the matter was already settled. But you're in the best position to handle it financially. I looked around the room. Mom and Dad both retired on fixed incomes. Lily working part-time at a boutique while finishing her master's degree. Marcus, a graduate student living on research stipends and student loans. And me, the corporate lawyer who'd been supporting various family members for the past 6 years. What are you and Marcus contributing? I asked. Lily shifted uncomfortably. Well, we're paying for the honeymoon. And Marcus is handling the bachelor party costs. How much is the honeymoon? About $4,000 for the week in Cancun. $4,000 for their honeymoon. $52,000 for the wedding I was expected to fund. And Mom and Dad? We're providing our expertise and emotional support, Mom said with the tone of someone who considered that contribution equivalent to tens of thousands of dollars. I see. I closed the folder of contracts. Can I think about it? Think about what? Lily asked, her voice rising slightly. Lisa, this is my wedding. It's the most important day of my life. I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of covering $52,000. You make 6 figures, Dad said. This is what family does for each other. I did make 6 figures. I also had student loans, a mortgage, and a retirement account that had been raided multiple times for family emergencies over the years. Plus, Mom added, you'll get to be part of creating this beautiful memory for Lily and Marcus. Isn't that worth it? Speaking of being part of it, I said, where am I sitting at the reception? The room went quiet in a way that made my stomach drop. About that, Mom said carefully. We've been talking and we think it might be better to keep the guest list smaller. More intimate. Smaller. Just immediate family and very close friends, Lily said quickly. We want to keep it really personal, you know? I stared at her. I'm your sister. Of course you are. But you understand how expensive each person is. With catering at $35 per head, every invitation adds up. You're uninviting me to save $35? It's not about the money. It's literally exactly about the money. Marcus spoke up for the first time. We just want our wedding day to be about us, without any family drama or complications. What complications? Well, Mom said delicately, you have a tendency to be intense about financial things. We don't want that energy at the ceremony. I felt like I'd been slapped. Intense about financial things? You ask a lot of questions about budgets and expenses, Dad explained. It makes people uncomfortable. I ask questions because I'm the one paying for everything. And we're grateful, Lily said. But gratitude doesn't mean we have to invite everyone who contributes to the celebration. I looked around the room again, trying to process what I was hearing. They wanted me to pay $52,000 for a wedding I wasn't invited to attend. Let me make sure I understand, I said slowly. You want me to fund Lily's entire wedding, but I can't come to the actual event? You're making it sound worse than it is, Mom said. We'll have a nice family dinner afterward. Just the core family. The core family that apparently doesn't include me. Lisa, don't be dramatic, Lily snapped. This is my wedding. It's about me and Marcus, not about you. Then maybe you and Marcus should pay for it. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. That's not realistic and you know it, Dad said. They're students. They don't have that kind of money. Neither do I. You absolutely do. You just don't want to spend it on family. I stood up, gathering my purse and car keys. I need to think about this. There's nothing to think about, Mom said firmly. Family supports family. Your sister needs this and you're in a position to provide it. And in exchange I get excluded from the event I'm paying for. You're not being excluded, Lily said. You're just not invited to the ceremony part. But you'll be involved in all the planning and preparation. How generous. I headed for the door then turned back. Just so I'm clear, you want me to spend $52,000 on a party I can't attend, hosted by people who think I'm too intense about wanting to understand where my money goes? Lisa. I'll let you know my decision tomorrow. I drove home in a fog of anger and disbelief. In the past 6 years I'd paid for Mom's car repairs, Dad's medical bills, and Lily's last 2 years of graduate school tuition. Every time the justification was the same. Family helps family. But apparently, family doesn't include family when it comes to actually celebrating together. That night I called my best friend Claire and told her the whole story. They want you to pay for a wedding you're not invited to? Claire said. Lisa, that's insane. They're saying it's about keeping it intimate. Intimate enough to exclude the person paying for it? According to them, yes. What are you going to do? I'd been asking myself the same question all evening. Part of me wanted to tell them exactly what they could do with their intimate wedding. Another part of me felt guilty for even considering letting Lily down on her big day. I don't know, I admitted. Can I ask you something? Claire said. When was the last time anyone in your family did something significant for you without being asked? I thought about it. I can't remember. When was the last time they celebrated one of your achievements or milestones? Another long pause. My promotion to partner 2 years ago. They took me to dinner. Who paid for dinner? I did. Lisa, honey, do you hear yourself? The next morning I had an idea. I called the wedding venue and spoke with their events coordinator. I'm calling about the Martinez-Chan wedding in June, I said. I'm the one handling the financial arrangements. Of course, Miss Martinez. How can I help you? I need to understand your cancellation policy. She explained that deposits were non-refundable after 30 days, but final payments could be cancelled up to 72 hours before the event with a 20% penalty. And if the final payment is reversed after being processed? Well, that would be considered a breach of contract. We'd have to cancel the event immediately. I see. And how much notice would you give the wedding party? We'd call them as soon as we were notified of any payment issues. Perfect. I spent the next 2 months playing along with the wedding planning process. I attended cake tastings I wasn't invited to eat the cake at. I helped choose flowers I wouldn't see in person. I reviewed seating charts that didn't include my name. Every week there were new expenses. Lily needed a more expensive dress. The flowers had to be upgraded. The photographer required a bigger deposit. Each time they came to me with the additional costs and each time I smiled and agreed to cover them. The final bill came to $54,837. 3 days before the wedding I transferred the full amount to the venue. Then I called them back. This is Lisa Martinez. I just sent the final payment for the Martinez-Chan wedding. Yes, I see it here. Everything looks good. Great. I need to request a payment reversal. I'm sorry. I'm reversing the payment. All of it. There was a long pause. Miss Martinez, the wedding is in 3 days. If we don't have payment, we'll have to cancel the entire event. I understand. Is there some kind of problem with the charges? No, the charges are accurate. I'm just not paying them anymore. Can I ask why? I wasn't invited to the wedding I was paying for. So I've decided not to pay for it. Another pause. See. Well, I'll need to call the bride and groom immediately to let them know about the situation. Please do. I hung up and turned off my phone. 20 minutes later, I could hear the chaos starting from my apartment building's parking lot. Car doors slamming, voices shouting, multiple vehicles arriving at once. My family had come to stage an intervention. I let them knock on my door for 10 minutes before answering. Mom, Dad, Lily, and Marcus were all standing in my hallway, faces ranging from furious to panicked. What did you do? Lily shrieked. I uninvited myself from paying for your wedding. The venue called, Marcus said, his voice shaking. They said you canceled the payment. The wedding is off. That's unfortunate. Lisa, this is insane, Dad said. You can't just destroy your sister's wedding 3 days before the ceremony. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just not paying for something I'm not invited to. We explained that to you, Mom said. It's about keeping it intimate. Then you should be able to keep the costs intimate too. Lily was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. How could you do this to me? This is the most important day of my life. Then maybe you should have wanted me there for it. We could have worked something out, Marcus said desperately. Maybe we could add one more seat. One more seat. I stared at him. I'm not some random +1 you're trying to accommodate. I'm the sister of the bride and the person who was paying for your entire wedding. But the deposits, Mom said. All that money is lost now. Yes, it is. Money I spent on a wedding I wasn't welcome at. You're being vindictive, Dad said. I'm being practical. Why would I spend $54,000 on an event where I'm not wanted? Because you love me, Lily sobbed. Because I'm your sister. Am I your sister? Because sisters usually invite each other to their weddings. This is ridiculous, Mom said. Call the venue back right now and fix this. No. Lisa. No. I'm done. I'm done paying for things I'm not included in. I'm done being the family item who's too intense to be included in celebrations. But what about the guests? Marcus asked. People are flying in from out of state. Hotels are booked. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided I was too problematic to invite. I started closing the door. Wait, Lily called out. What if we re-invite you? Would you pay for the wedding then? I paused. Are you inviting me because you want me there or because you need my money? She couldn't answer. That's what I thought. I closed the door and turned my phone back on. 18 missed calls and 43 text messages, all variations of angry demands that I fix the situation I'd created. I deleted them all and ordered Chinese takeout. The next morning, Lily showed up at my office. I need to talk to you, she said, her eyes red from crying. Okay. I'm sorry about not inviting you to the wedding. That was wrong. Thank you. But Lisa, you have to understand. I can't just cancel my entire wedding. I've been planning this for 8 months. I'm not making you cancel anything. I'm just not paying for it. But we can't afford it without you. Then maybe you should have planned a wedding you could afford. Lily's composure cracked. You're destroying my life because your feelings got hurt. My feelings didn't get hurt. My eyes got opened. To what? To the fact that you think my only value to this family is financial. That's not true. Really? When was the last time you called me just to talk? When was the last time you asked about my life, my work, my relationships? When was the last time you wanted to spend time with me that didn't involve me paying for something? Lily was quiet. I've spent 6 years being this family's emergency fund. College tuition, car repairs, medical bills, and now a wedding. But I've never been invited to family dinners that I didn't pay for. I've never been included in family vacations I couldn't fund. And now I'm not even welcome at celebrations I finance. We do appreciate you. You appreciate my bank account. There's a difference. So what happens now? She asked. Now you figure out how to have a wedding you can actually afford. Maybe a small ceremony in Mom and Dad's backyard. Maybe a potluck reception at the community center. Maybe something that reflects your actual budget instead of my income. But I already sent invitations. Everyone's expecting this elegant celebration. Then maybe you should have checked with your actual budget before sending invitations to an elegant celebration. Lily left my office and I didn't hear from my family for 2 weeks. Then Claire called me with interesting news. I heard through the grapevine that your sister's wedding is back on, she said. Really? Apparently your parents took out a second mortgage on their house to cover the venue costs. I felt sick to my stomach. They did what? $40,000 home equity loan. They're going to be making payments for the next 15 years. My parents, both in their 70s, had mortgaged their retirement security to fund Lily's dream wedding. Part of me felt guilty. Part of me felt vindicated. Mostly, I felt sad that they'd rather go into debt than admit they'd treated me unfairly. The wedding happened as scheduled. I saw the photos on social media. Beautiful venue, elegant flowers, happy couple surrounded by family and friends. I wasn't in any of the pictures, but then again I hadn't expected to be. 3 weeks later Mom called. We need to talk about the mortgage payments, she said without preamble. What about them? They're higher than we expected. We're going to need some help. I was quiet for a long moment. Mom, you took out a mortgage to pay for a wedding I wasn't invited to. Why would I help you pay it back? Because we're family. Family that mortgaged their house rather than admit I deserved a seat at my sister's wedding. Lisa, don't be petty. This is about your father and me losing our home. This is about you choosing Lily's wedding over your own financial security. We didn't have a choice. You had a choice. You could have told Lily to plan a wedding she could afford. You could have insisted that the person paying for the celebration be included in it. You could have chosen to treat me like family instead of just a funding source. But we didn't, and now we need help. And I don't have any help to give. I spent $54,000 on wedding planning before your daughter decided I was too intense to invite. That was my help. You got that money back when you canceled the payment. I donated it. You what? I donated the entire amount to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students. Kids who know what it's like to work for everything they get and still be treated like their success makes them responsible for everyone else's dreams. Mom was silent. But congratulations on the beautiful wedding, I added. I hear it was everything Lily dreamed of. I hung up and went back to the life I was building for myself. The life where I got to choose how my time, energy, and money were spent. The life where I was valued for more than my ability to write checks. 6 months later, Lily called. Lisa, I owe you an apology. Okay. Mom told me about the mortgage payments. About how much they're struggling. I see. I never thought about what would happen after the wedding. I just wanted everything to be perfect. And was it perfect? The wedding was beautiful. But I keep thinking about how wrong it was not to include you. What made you realize that? My friend Jennifer asked to see wedding photos, and when I showed them to her, she asked where you were. When I explained that we'd kept the guest list small, she asked if that meant you hadn't helped pay for it. Lily paused. When I told her you'd offered to pay but we'd decided not to invite you, she looked at me like I was the worst person in the world. What did she say? She said that excluding the person who made the celebration possible was the cruelest thing she'd ever heard of. I didn't respond. Lisa, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was so focused on having my perfect day that I forgot you were my sister first and my funding source never. Thank you for saying that. Is there any way to fix this? Any way to make it up to you? I thought about it. You can start by paying your own bills. And Mom and Dad's mortgage payments. I can't afford the mortgage payments. Marcus and I are barely covering our own expenses. Then you can downsize your lifestyle until you can afford them. But, Lily, you wanted an expensive wedding. You got one. Now you get to deal with the consequences of that choice. Are you ever going to forgive me? I already have. But forgiveness doesn't mean going back to the way things were. What does it mean? It means I hope you learn something from this experience. And I hope you don't make the same mistake with your marriage that you made with your wedding. What mistake? Thinking that other people should sacrifice their security for your dreams. Today, 2 years later, my parents are still making mortgage payments on Lily's wedding. They've had to significantly downsize their lifestyle, and Dad has gone back to work part-time to cover expenses. Lily and Marcus divorced 18 months after their perfect wedding. Apparently, the financial stress of the mortgage payments led to fights about money, which led to blame, which led to the end of the marriage that was supposed to be worth any sacrifice. I've rebuilt relationships with extended family members who reached out after hearing the story. Most of them admitted they'd always wondered why I was expected to fund everyone else's celebrations while rarely being celebrated myself. I've also built new relationships with people who value me for who I am, not what I can provide financially. My birthday this year was celebrated with friends who insisted on paying for their own dinners and brought gifts they bought with their own money. It was small, personal, and filled with people who wanted to be there with me, not people who wanted something from me. It was everything Lily's wedding should have been but wasn't. A celebration of love, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about each other. Sometimes the most generous thing you can do is refuse to enable other people's entitlement. Sometimes saying no to funding someone else's dream is the only way to protect your own dignity. And sometimes the best wedding gift you can give someone is teaching them that their dreams are their own responsibility to finance.